I asked the universe, how do you know you're in the right time and the right place? And the download I got was insane. And it fit with the I Ching because that's why I asked. And this is all about time. That's what we're talking about today. I have a presentation with you about the I Ching time and how it fits with everything that we're doing, especially if you've been following me for the weekly forecast. As I've been doing this weekly energy update, I've been following the I Ching, and we started at the perfect place, which was yin yin, yin yin, yin yin, all earth. Okay, this one series, which is technically two in the gene keys. More on that later. But we'll be following yin as yang or yang is introduced, and that is time. So let's go over the whole thing. I'm going to go section by section on the board that you see next to me. And I have so much to show you about this energy. This is the last that you'll see of me until next time. Now, you should be following this on the podcast. If you're on the podcast, you should be on YouTube for this. If you can, if not, I'll do my best to describe it to you. But it's a really cool presentation. Okay, so I'm going to go to the board. That's the image that you see here. And mind the glare. Don't mind the glare. This is my board in my shipping room and what I use to really channel a lot. And I was just about ready to take it off. So I decided to finally film this because it's been up for a couple weeks because I got to let more come in. Okay. Now, what you see here is a giant download that ended up being more on paper than even on the board. But I'm going to start with the board because I feel like this is a great place to start. I'm still studying this and probably will be for I don't even know how long. All right. So the first thing that I want you to note on this crazy board, I'm going to circle it here, is that me asking the universe, what is us? How do we know? How do you know you're in the right time? And then I got this idea that you fit into the weather, which sounds insane, right? How could you fit into the weather? And then I looked around me for the next couple of days and I recognized that there are moments where I felt nourished by the rain and nourished in other areas of my life. Someone might have called me and nourished me with words. I might have gotten money those days. Something happened that made me feel nourished or fed. It might have been the day we went to the grocery store or something. And then I noticed other things on cloudy days and on sunny days. And I really started to pay attention to time, okay? And how I relate to it. How do I know I'm in the right place and time? We talked about this last week in our energy report about how you can't be in the wrong place in the wrong time, but you can know it. So how do you identify where you are? And that to me is the study of the I Ching right now. And we know that time is just movement. But where are we in the movement? And the difference between these yin days and these yang days are just the difference between the exchange of energy that moves up and that energy that moves down, or energy that moves in and energy that moves out. Okay. And that is, we are witnessing on earth in 3D reality, a slow down pocket of an experience, a little bubble of energy. Each minute exchange from yin to yang. And that is what time is. Okay. So as we go through that, that is what I want you to think about. Now, how I came to this was it has a lot to do with out of body experiences and near death experiences, which I study a lot. And I've been trying to work on having my own out of body experience. Okay. One of the things they're going to tell you, or a couple of things they're going to talk about, is one, your soul form is denser. I just want to tell you this, than your human form, which I find fabulously interesting. It's more weighty than you think. You think you get out of your body and you're all air and floaty. No, it's actually denser and more real than your actual reality. Okay. Know that. Two, when you die, this also happens. You go to a place that you consider like home, or a place that feels nurturing or comforting to you. Right now, if you can safely stop, take a minute. We'll be quiet together. I want you to think of home. There is a sensation that will come over you. You know this place. And when you leave this earth, you immediately return to this destination. And it's different for each of us. We build it in our own realities. Okay. Now, when you are in this reality, you know you are there. Sometimes, let's say you have died tragically. You would know that you were there based on your expressions and everything around you transforming in front of you based on your expression. So if you are having a fabulous feeling because you're in your favorite place, you just woke up there, maybe you died in your sleep, the day would be sunny, the birds would be chirping, the butterflies. And then when you realize that you died and you left your family behind, sadness might set in and the clouds become overcast. And then you recognize that you are manifesting in real time and that everything around you is connected and a part of you, and that you are actually thinking it and experiencing it in real time with a tiny slight delay in the 3D reality. This is what made me think of time, because I thought, what if I am and I just don't know it? What if I am in the right place? How would I know? Okay. And with that, all of the rest of this came in. So time is broken down into moments of source, archetypes of source, seconds, minutes, moments. All of this mean nothing, but the yin and the yang do. Okay. So let's go over where you see these. Next, you're going to see these negative and positives here. Okay. And I'm starting to break things down by season. And I immediately, my guides are saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a rhythm to time. And within the rhythm of time, as things exchange, they always move from one guaranteed state to the next because patterns are predictable. All right. Within a predictable pattern, there are seasons. There are moments within that will always come about and always happen because this is a cycle or a circle. Now, when we reach, and what I'm realizing is that not only is it a cycle and a circle time, there is, as we come back to the beginning, what we would consider to be the beginning, we reach another level, and there is a momentum there where you could evolve and reach another level or another wave and ride the higher frequency of that. You get another moment to capture this time, or you get to stay in that same dimension and follow the loop until you're ready to accelerate. Okay. But all of this is going to come to you as downloads, I'm told, and that all I need to do is explain this to you as best that I can. And then over time, this is just going to implement in your mind in a way that works for you. So I want you to remember, if you are a Course in Miracles student, if you're a spiritual person, if you are connected to the all of everything. Now, I haven't added the image yet here as I'm talking to you. You will see the image in the video of science when they looked at a proton individually and they got down to the smallest unit of time that they could get to, the smallest speck or unit of energy. One of the things that they noticed when that energy is always intertwined with another energy. And the image of that is the exact same fucking image everywhere. Excuse my French. It is the yin yang. This is everything, and everything makes up everything. So it is in the smallest unit and in the largest unit. The source of all, the source of everything is the containment of that yin yang. That's one idea, one source. So when you think of the Big Bang, you should think of it as an implosion instead of an explosion. And when you think of it as an implosion, okay, then as the innards, as we went in and noticed the expanse immediately of what was inside this bubble and all of the light within this bubble, as we entered it, let's say, we entered it at such a state that we could see it scattered as an illusion. It just scattered, okay? The first separation would be within an implosion or an explosion, would be the major principles of feminine and masculine principles. The divine feminine, the divine masculine, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the matter and the antimatter, okay? Now, this is the first split. What does that tell you? Automatically is that God is both, and God is everything, and God is all of it. And what we are experiencing as units of measure within the implosion of source, we are one of the specks of light within the whole, okay? And if you were to take the units of measure, because the universe is absolutely divinely ordered, if you would take this unit of measurement and you were to split it in half and you would look at the first major divide that this unit of measurement, the source of all, had, it would divide itself properly within a masculine and an energetic state. It splits itself there first, okay? Within the matrix, within the computer code, you would call this zeros and ones, okay? With the yin representing the zero, the nothing, and the yang representing the one. Within the Big Bang or the Big Breath, we call the yin the quarks and the yang the leptons. So within 3 units of measure, which you see on the third line, you have 6 quarks. Each individual unit is a quark. And they do up, down, strange, charm, beauty, and truth. That is the name of the movements. And they are random and scattered and go in any direction that they feel like it, and you can't predict them. That is that energy of the yin, that 0. This is the neutron and the proton and the atoms, the 10% of the mass of the biverse, okay? The yang energy represents 6 leptons, 3 types of electrons, and 3 types of neutrinos. And this is so just like the electron is both the yin and yang are a part of this electron. The yin represents the neutrons, that negative mass, that inner, that breath in, okay? And the proton. And then the yang represents the neutrino, which is 66 and 1/2 of a 0, 3 zeros per second, per centimeter, everywhere, all the time. So the neutrino is the energy mass that makes up physical reality. That is the yang energy, okay? It is light matter on Earth, and then the yin energy is the negative space, the inner. Yang can be seen as the breath out, yin can be seen as the breath in. These 2 principles make up everything in the entire universe. And I want you to also think of them as the yin energy being the energy that pulls things down or inside the toroidal field, and the yang energy being the energy that pushes things out, or the projection side of the toroidal field. And God is both. He's he or she or it or all are the all of everything, the Tao, the great, okay? Is the breath in and the breath out. It's breathing in and breathing out. It's expanding and contracting. It is both the expansion and the contraction. Okay? And each of us simultaneously inside ourselves and in this bubble we call experience are both having the experience of the breath in and the breath out. We are both divine masculine and divine feminine. And within each of those principles, you get a divine masculine principle with a little bit of divine feminine, and a divine feminine principle with a little bit of divine masculine. Now, because we live in a shadow universe, these images or these energies have been subverted a little bit. And we'll talk about that later. But first, let me talk about the DNA. Okay, now you see this this image of the DNA sequence. We've got just a DNA code. Now, within the DNA code, in individual units, with each human is 64 codons, 6 groups of amino acids per codon. Within the I Ching, there are 64 hexagrams and 6 lines per hexagram, and this is a connection between the 2 of them. So we consider these codes that are happening to be DNA sequences, and those are the 0 1s on and off principles, light and dark blinks of light, okay, that happen within each of us. And we each have one of or plenty of the 64 codon rings within our DNA. Some of them are triggered based on where they are astrologically, where the planets are associated with these energies that have been mapped out via ancient Chinese, I don't want to say philosophy, partnered with modern teachings of human design and gene keys, playing with astrology and tarot. What we find is this beautiful map of all of it intertwined and working together to explain the series of DNA that help us evolve and how we're all connected. And while a bold claim, what this information is saying is that we are so divinely connected to the movement of every single unit of measurement on this planet, that every single thing is connected, that no such thing as time, that so much so that every time we breathe in, everything breathes in. Every time we breathe out, everything breathes out, or vice versa. There's a connection there. There is a play. There's a dance that's happening with all units, every single photon in this reality. Okay. And that measurement can be tracked all the way down to a chakra point based on the interactions that we have with this chart where you are energetically with your natal chart and where we are all collectively energetically with the natal chart of just the movement of the planets currently. And potentially this collective energy of Yang days could be all of us deciding to breathe out on our, and that is what we are measuring here, not necessarily something outside of ourselves, but a collective measurement of how we are moving as we evolve. Potentially, while also remembering that there is a maximum capacity. So that is a 0 to a 30 degree or a 0 to a 100 degree, that we could all be at our own level within a bubble of an experience. And that is what we are doing here. And it is all about our evolution. Okay. So every single measurement, yin yang, and two yins together, two yangs by themselves, yang, yin on top of yang and yang on top of yin. These are dominant yins, dominant yangs, right? Dominant feminine energy and dominant masculine energy. The breakdown of these energies are thiamine, cytosine, guanine, and adenine. And these are major enzymes that actually make up the DNA strands, okay? And so this is our binary code. We're reading the binary code, guys. That is what we are theorizing here as we go through this experience. So it's so much more than just one thing. I want you to know how multidimensional it is, okay? And there's so much of a connection between our bodies, these gates and these experiences that we all go through collectively. And I'm thinking that if you are going through places where your natal chart was already sparked, because this is the energy that is present when you were born, right? Where that energy was sparked, as the energy moves and it hits those areas, it's going to double time, but it's also just evolving you in general. Now, with this evolution, it has been tracked, okay? And as they track it, the coolest shit shows up. Again, you see that yin yang through the entire scope of the natal chart. Those 64 degrees cover 5 degrees and like 57 cents, is what I'm going to call it, of space within that natal chart, making up 64 hexagrams that kind of overlap just a tiny bit. Okay. And within that, you get a series of yin days and you get a series of yang days. You get a series of dark energy and you get a series of light energy. And as time is moving forward, you're progressing from a majority currently, from a majority of dark energy, we are slowly moving towards a majority of light energy. And as we do, there's always going to be a little bit of dark in the light and a little bit of light in the dark, okay? Unless it's full yin, 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 or full yang, 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 yang. And here's the craziest part about the whole thing. If you look at this from Chinese perspective, they're going to say that the yang energy is actually the summer and the yin energy is actually the winter. But as we've been going through this solar energy, we've noticed a difference and a flip, okay? What the craziest part about the whole thing is that just like in the houses in astrology, there is an opposition between these two hexagrams. So irregardless is if it's flipped on one side of the chart and you're experiencing one of the energies, or flipped on the opposite side of the chart and you're experiencing another one of those energies are opposing one another. So it's still the same spectrum of information. All right. And to see that we're coming from it from the left side, even though it could be came from the right side. This week, as I'm filming this, we are in the energy of gate 8, which is yin, yang, yin, 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 yin. The opposite energy of that would be yin, 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 yang, yin, right? And so technically speaking, if you look at this through ancient Chinese philosophy on yang energy being summertime and it's going closer to yang, I'm going to say both ways. What you would see is that we would be in summer right now in full yang, but we're in full yin. Okay. And I grappled with that, but Spirit said, just keep moving forward. You're following and you're tracking the sun. This energy can be looked at in a lot of ways. What you cannot do is know the exact start of time, bitch. You just looking at this from astrology, calm down. Okay. You're going to be studying this for years. This is what I got. Okay. So just stick with me on this. So these principles of energy, they start out being the source of all. If you took the source of all and you split the source of all into two, you would get yin and yang. Okay. You would get feminine and masculine energy because they're both one being. Then if you split yin, you would get two features. You would get full yin, 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 and then you would get yin under yang. And then if you were to split yang, you would get yang, yang, and you would get yang under yin, and vice versa. Okay. And as you split those energies even more, or you could call them archetypes, as you split these energies, as in you get dominant feminine energy, less feminine energy, dominant masculine energy, less masculine energy, or dominant masculine energy. There's no way no matter what, it's either going to be full masculine or a little bit of feminine, full feminine or a little bit of masculine. Okay. Once you break those energies down into what they are, you get earth, mountain, water, wind, thunder, fire, lake, and heaven. And within these ideas, these are the archetypal energies that make up this experience of time. It's almost like the weather pattern of time. Okay. And it goes from earth to heaven. Earth is down energy. So when you see yin, a lot of yin, you can imagine that energy is pushing down. When you see a lot of yang energy or yang energy, you can imagine that energy is going up towards the heavens. Okay. So it's pulling up. Okay. So it's force. That's it. Just like energy on earth, there is no physical form. It's all force. So it's either inertia in one direction or the other direction. So when we go back to my board for just one hot second, I want to go back there. And we look at this, we see the next thing that I want to circle here is this idea that this is like, okay, I keep trying to tell y'all this in so many ways. We're like antennas, and we can either receive or give energy. We can't do both at the same time. It's an on off switch, a 0 or a 1. Okay. So this is that same energy where we are either receiving full energy, yin, in full reception, yin, or in full out, yang. So you're either getting information in or you're pushing information out. Now, it could be in the reverse. It could be the earth or nature is putting out information, and they're yang and you're yin, and it's actually and they're exchanging with this information, not feeling it. It doesn't really matter. We just know that there is a difference between these two energies, and one is a push and one is a pull. You just need to know that there is an exchange happening, and that exchange is how we measure time, not by days, but by energy. So if there's been 12 days of yin, ain't no day. It's just been yin. When it's yang, energy shifts. That's the real time movement. Okay. We've been in 12 days of the same energy. 12 days is the same thing. Just want to tell y'all that again. And more than 12 days, I think. Anyway. So again, if you look at this, and we're going to break this down because there are yin seasons and yang seasons, and then we got yin moon, yang sun. Every day it's either dark, light, light, dark, 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 light, light, dark, dark, and it's all just this energy or that energy. There is no other principle. You could pretend like it's dark and light is good and bad, but good and bad are actually both bad because it's a judgment on an energy and it's a definition that isn't required. It's only force. Push and pull. That's it. Okay. That's what makes up space and time. That's all that it is. It's a push and a pull of energy that looks like growth because you're seeing it from a slower place. But at some point, you could see all of it. Another thing that I want to note is that while you're watching the movement of time, you see movement of time over an I Ching time period is a longer time period, right? It could be over 24 years. It actually is very closely related to the astrological, and 24 years, don't quote me on that, but it's related to the Chinese astrology. Okay. So imagine this being a longer span of time. So that's a longer span of time. Within that time, you have a year. That's time. Within that year, you have a month, or you have a season. That's amount of time that's covered. So it's like one whole span is a long series in the Chinese astrology. The second span is what we would call an American year. The third span would be a season. The fourth span would be a month. Within that would be a day. Within that would be an hour. Within that, in between, and in a day, it would be day and night. And within that would be times of the day and times of the night. And within that would be another capacity of measurement within that time of seconds and minutes and hours. And within all of it, there are just yin yang energies that are encompassed like nesting dolls within each other. Okay, so it's time within time within time within time within time within time within time. And you get all of these opportunities to evolve and to take some information you already know, go over it from another perspective, maximize the potential of that perspective to get to the next level of that experience. And it's almost like you are consciously, if you were just consciousness, a thought, an idea, expressing itself in a bubble and going in a circle, hitting every single portion of the parameter, besides going up a little bit, hitting every single portion of the parameter, besides going up a little bit, hitting every single portion of the parameter. And then you realize we're back at the idea that we came to with DNA being a ladder, and evolution is just us going up a little bit, going up a little bit, going up a little bit. And it's a ladder that we are trying to climb, but we don't have to hit every rung. We get another chance. So let's go back to this for a second. If we look at all of time, right? This whole idea of what this is. And then we break it down from the two. So we've got, let's say, the two could be day, night, sun, moon, good, bad, up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west. Okay. And then within north, south, east, west, you got north, south, east, west. You've got morning, midday, evening, afternoon, or night, or something. You've got these different breakdowns. There's the early morning and the early night, and the early day and the late day. And then within the early day and the late day, you got the midday. And so it's just a breaking down of archetypes of energies. Okay. And if you look at astrology, that's the same thing. It's just archetypes and energies of God broken out of the whole, defining itself in one type of way, but all still the same thing. Okay. And as we experience each season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, each of these belong to a portion of time within that season. And we move through earth, which is now mountain, water, wind. We go actually from earth to thunder to, I don't remember the order here. I'm not even going to play with the order here. But the idea is we go through all of these energies. Okay. As we experience time, we go through each of them on top of each other. So we go from earth to earth, earth to mountain. No, earth to earth, mountain to on top of earth, water on top of earth. Here's the order: wind on top of earth, thunder on top of earth, fire on top of earth, lake on top of earth, heaven on top of earth, mountain on top of mountain, mountain on top of earth, mountain on top of water, mountain on top of wind, mountain on top of thunder. Then we go water on top of earth, water on top of mountain, water on top of water, wind on top of earth, wind on top of mountain. It keeps going until you get to the end and you experience each one of these energies. And you could either be following the yin or following the yang, but you would notice that it's just moving down. One of the energies is just moving down. And each of these 6 ideas still ends up being one thing. It comes down to one singular unit in time, where you are either experiencing a pressure or an inward of energy, or an expression of outward energy. Okay. And as we traverse through this experience, we go from the darkest depths to the highest highs. We go from the down to the downest earth to the up to the highest heavens. Okay. And that is how we play with this yin yang of this time. No matter where you are on this board, it's always going to be a play of these two energies, one dominating the other, and never truly a neutral, straight in the middle force. Okay. And through life, what we are trying to do, because religion has put us in a place where we only see God from the yang side and not the yin side, we've forgotten God on earth, right? We see that as the devil side, if you've not noticed. We've forgotten all of the principles of source. We've got to learn to play with these yin days, and they are the moments of the greatest reception that leads to the greatest actions. So I went walking today on this yang day, with my husband and the dogs. And I talked to a tree along the way. And one of the things that the tree talked about was what to do on a yang day versus a yin day. And it says, if you go on a walk on a yin day, the trees have information for you that you could be receiving. We're all receiving. Okay. And it's coming through us from the sun, let's say, and it's hitting, exchanging energy with the trees, turning into oxygen, and we're breathing it in, and we're all receiving. And then and you should be taking in information. You should be writing down information. Then on yang days, we are we're pushing out energy. So you should be giving of your energy. You should be trying to share that energy out. Okay. And being like a beam out. Now, with that information, what if manifesting on yang days, you send out a manifestation? And on yin days, you receive all the information you need to perform or achieve that manifestation. Could you think about it like that? I want you to think about that. Okay. And within thinking about that, I want you to think about what I'm manifesting to think about. I said, let me think about the most ridiculous thing I could think about. Even though I've been shooting off manifestations all day, obviously, like we always do. The thing that I'd like to bring into my experience would be a purple dragon. That is what I'm playing with. So if in any of the yin days, if I see a purple dragon, I will have, or if you see a purple dragon, I will know that this is working. But I want you to think of these yin days and yang days are different. I noticed we just had a series of yin days. I just noticed I couldn't sleep yesterday on this yang day. I could have probably stayed up and worked. I was in between sleep and awake. Maybe I could have astral projected because my mind was awake and my body was kind of asleep. I was restless. So I'm playing around with the different ways that time is moving to try to find my place in time and lay within that synchronicity and the miracles that happen when you are in the moment in the right time, right? And remembering that it's all about the experience of expressing out or receiving in. Now, what if even noticing today that I'm filming like on it, okay? It's a yang day. I tried to film on a yin day and I was just drained. And I can't wait till yang days to film. What if I have a series of yin days and I got to get some workout? But like, how do I support myself on those days when I'm meant to bring in? Maybe the way that I work and the way that I make sure that that energy is received is different. What if the energy gets out differently on a yang day? And that is how, to me, we play with time. So we can no longer think it as viewed as a measure that have to do with days and seconds and weeks and months and years. We could think of it as expressions of energy. And if we can feel into the yin and the yang of it, are we supposed to be receiving or are we supposed to be giving? And in reality, because time is not real, we're always fully receiving and full give. It's light. It doesn't leave you to go out and it doesn't have to leave out to come in. It's a full continuous stream. And that is why I think even this week is infinite. If you look at the shape of this, if you were to look at the sun's traveling through the earth, it always is the shape of infinity. It's because we are infinite beings on a loop through times that never ends. We're always seeking to have the experience of what we are not, so that we can truly, absolutely determine what we are. And the whole point of the truest form of evolution is going back to the source. So we are in the process of collecting the fragments of ourselves in this time, pulling in all the parts of us that maximize our potential so that we can remember that we are the all of every single thing. I want to read you one thing from the Tao Te Ching before we leave, because I thought this was an absolutely perfect explanation of the yin yang. If you start seeing it like this, instead of being good and bad, up and down, right and wrong, I think you will have a better understand. We know beauty because there is ugly. We know good because there is evil. Being and not being, having and not having, create each other. This energy, this yin yang energy, okay? I showed it to you in the beginning. I'm coming back to the idea again. Science has shown us this is the entanglement of matter. We are entangled with everything around us, and the darkness and the light need each other for movement and experience to happen. We would not be here without that primal force, okay? And our goal here is this: who can remain patient while the mud so gradually clears? Who can remain still while the moment for action so slowly emerges? This is the flux and reflux. Think about how a flower opens and spins open, reveals itself before it decays and dies, and how each of us do that over and over again in life. We're just keep reopening, going back to the earth, reopening, going back to the earth. And that too is movement, okay? Death and life, another form of movement, time within time within time. So this is the I Ching. This is what we're doing every single week. So I want you to understand that. So while we look at the monthly astrology, I'm still going to go back to that. I'm trying to take this down to day units of time so that we could even say yin times and yang times is all I'm really focused on, because I want to see how we move through the reality and the creation as we go through evolution, and we're going through this major ascension point. I want to thank you for being here with me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please follow, like, subscribe. There's more space and time on the podcast. I'm going to release the video for that soon. I'm going to look at it today. And then I did this special thing with tarot that I didn't release because I was just like, I don't know if people are going to like it. And I think you will. So I am going to release it next.